Usually when I watch something, and certainly when we are reviewing it on our channel, I try to summon up some coherent thoughts about whatever we are reviewing so I can ask questions that make sense to our panelists. After episode 7 of the Acolyte, I want to send those thoughts and prayers to the fandom. This is the review of Champions, and I am your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Sakar has to offer. Voice only, we have Mr. Lord Deathman. How are you?
I am great. Thanks for asking, sir.
I'm happy you're still with us. Showing his beautiful face on camera, Merv, how are you?
I'm good.
And last but not least, the original, Mr. Taylor First. How are you?
Force is with me.
Hanging on by a thread, no doubt. Today we're going to talk about episode 7 called Choice. And unfortunately, we did not have any of the Acolyte. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. And if you really can't get enough of us, you can join our ranks. Go to sakar.freeforms.net, set up an account, get to know us, and yes, join us in our reviews or podcast. We would love it. We would love it if you do that. Consider this your final warning. After this point, the spoilers are incoming. So if you haven't seen this week's episode yet, go do that first and then check out our video. We had to listen to what Saul had to say, and boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm gonna go in with my foot straight on somebody's knee, and I'm gonna choose your knee, Merv. How is the Sith Lord connected to May, Osha, Sol, Indira, blah, 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 because I have absolutely no freaking clue.
Well, it felt like it was pretty obvious that Mother, Horn Mother, whatever her name was, turned into a ghost, and then she's in possession of Kamir's body, and now she's getting her revenge through that guy. I mean, that's my theory. It's based on nothing, but so is this show. So,
So, can I have your quick thoughts on episode 7, please?
Yes.
We get some answers. Did we?
Well, so full disclosure, I attempted to rewatch episode 3 and write down all the questions I had the first time around. I didn't get very far. I got like 10 minutes in before I was like, I'm better off just rewatching the 7th episode and save myself some time. And then I didn't. I trailed off and fell asleep halfway through that. So no, or yes, but it was such an. You got a lot of answers to the questions that they presumably left hanging as if there was going to be a reveal later on that changed your perspective about the answers to these questions. But then the revelations were exactly what the surface level predictions were 4 episodes ago. So it's about as satisfying as a hot bowl of chili on a 90-degree day. Sorry, that's 90-degree Fahrenheit. I know it's different and stupid, but so no, like, yes, I mean, there were answers, not enough again, but there were answers, but they almost every single one of them was unsatisfying in every way, So let's see. Why were the Jedi there to investigate life on a planet? Did May actually start the fire? Yep, she did. And then she was surprised that the book caught fire. I'm sorry. These are supposed to be quick thoughts, and I'm getting a little bit deep into the thing. Let's just say I liked it only for the fight sequence, and everything else was way worse than episode 3. Which is exactly the same episode.
So, peak Star Wars because the pretty light beams are hitting each other. Yeah.
Okay. Again, that's the only thing that you can enjoy about this episode, I think.
Okay. Taylor, I'm afraid to ask, but when you start on the board, like, and I don't have the feeling it was quite positive, to put it mildly, then the show is far gone. But let's have it.
Well, let me preface my opening statements with this. I love Star Wars. I love the original trilogy. I love the prequel trilogy. Well, no, excuse me. I love Force Awakens. I have issues with Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalkers, but I don't hate them. I love Rogue One. I like Solo. I have at least liked all of the Disney Plus live action series so far. I've loved some of them, but I've at least liked all of them. This show is a train wreck. And for many, many reasons, Merv touched on some of them. We'll get into the details when we get into the deep dive. But who the heck allowed this to happen is what I want to know. And not just allowed the writing to happen, but to do this to these actors, because I like the cast. I think pretty much all the cast is good. Why are they being punished like this? Did they piss off someone? I don't know. Oh, we'll get into why I believe all this when we go deep dive.
Okay. And now I'm afraid. No, let me just ask: did you even watch it, Lord Deathman?
I did.
Okay, that's positive.
Yeah. And as you guys know, I have been critical of this show since near the very beginning. And I know that on this show, we do try to have a positive outlook when it comes to fandom and consuming this type of content.
Let me rephrase that, if I may.
Uh,
We try to be not toxic and have good reasons or valid reasons for our criticism. And I think so far we have done a great job on that. That doesn't mean we have to be positive. I mean, if it sucks, it sucks. If you want to rewatch our Secret Invasion review series, go ahead.
And that's why I say we try to be, right? So
Yeah.
if there's even a little bit that you can get from something that is positive, I think we try to surface that. But if something is bad, I think we tend to say that. And in this case, this episode crossed over from a simple case of a bad television show where you might say this is the result of incompetence into, for me, this is just for me personally, we've moved into this is just a cynical exploitation of fans. So I thought this was a terrible episode. It's one of the worst pieces of television I've seen in probably a couple of years, maybe two. I would actually have to go all the way back to like a very hated episode of Lost that I saw that was as bad as this episode of a Star Wars television show to really to I have to go there. I think and I use the word exploitation, and I don't use it lightly because this show is a flimsy skeleton of a story that perhaps an intern dreamed up and turned in as a one-sheeter, and the Lucasfilm just decided to surround this flimsy story with member berries, extended lore from Legends canon, some callbacks, and hoped that they could glue it together in such a way that we would be distracted by the fact that there actually is no story here, and you'll be happy when you see something like a Wookiee having a fight with somebody, a Jedi, not a Dark Lord of the Sith, but one of his own colleagues. That'll be enough. It'll be fun, and it'll start the conversation, and people will just forget that we put zero effort into this as an actual story. So this has reached the level of just cynical fandom exploitation. It's not just a bad show, it's an egregious error in judgment from Lucasfilm and Disney. This should have never been made. There's absolutely no purpose for it, no reason for it to exist in the canon of Star Wars. It contributes nothing. And again, I feel strongly once we get into the deep dive that I can help prove my assertions.
No, I get that. Taylor, I start off with a statement now, and this will hurt. after this show, whenever you're gonna watch Star Wars in chronological order, you have to start with the Acolyte. How on earth are you gonna introduce this franchise to new viewers if you do it that way? Um, just skip it.
Skip that. That didn't happen. It's it. If you want to be a completist, okay, watch it, but don't say I didn't warn you. I guess that's the best way. Where do I even begin? I saw someone called this episode episode 3 the director's cut because it's the same episode. In fact, we're like 20 minutes into it before we see anything that we didn't already see. We're just seeing it from a different angle. Hey, you had 2 cameras. Fantastic. The person I feel sorry most for is May, not because her mother died or she burned her home down, but because she was trapped to the table while Saul was telling this story. And 99% of it, she already knew because she was there when all of it happened. She was there when Saul killed her mother. She was there when Saul saved Osha on the bridge. By the way, why didn't the 2 girls just turn around and walk the heck off of the bridge? They just had to go in the other direction. They wouldn't have fallen off the bridge. Oh. And poor Torben. Oh my God. First of all, what an a-hole. I'm going to be using that word a lot in this. First of all, Torben's an a-hole. Being raised from a baby in the Jedi Temple teaches you absolutely no discipline, no respect for authority, no understanding of how the freaking world works, apparently. And then you just grow up to be a little brat who then gets mind effed by a witch. And that scene, by the way, where she's in his mind, that was pretty sexual there. That was invasive. And it felt like, wait a minute, what are your desires? Whoa, where are we going here? Is it Corbin really want to get home because he wants to get some of that, you know what, back home? Is that why he wants to go home so bad? Anyway, regardless. The Force, I'm going to get a t-shirt that made The Force is an a-hole. Because apparently the Force wakes up one day and says, today, you're going to be able to sense everything around you for 100 miles and pull a spaceship out of a swamp. And the next day they wake up, today, you're not going to be able to sense anything around you, and you're not going to be able to save 2 40-pound girls from a bridge. Which, by the way, rather than holding the bridge up, why didn't he just force pull the 2 girls to him? I'm getting in the weeds there. I realize some stuff has to be contrived to make these stories. But then, okay, you've got a confrontation with the Jedi. The Jedi have come in again. By the way, May locked the doors. No one can get in or out. 2 minutes later, they're in. She didn't lock every door, I guess. They climb the wall like Spider-Man. They get in there. They have this confrontation. May comes running in, shouting, help, help, fire. Clearly said fire. Now, in a lot of shows, you know what would have happened at that point? They would have stopped fighting, worked together to put out the fire and save everyone's lives and learn to understand each other. But not with these people. No. When one daughter yells fire, Horn Witch goes into an attack position, ready to attack Torben, and Other Witch turns into a cloud black demon frickin' thing and starts disintegrating her daughter, who the Jedi have been worried to heck about from the very beginning, worried about this girl is in danger. Well, I'm going to make her disintegrate in front of the Jedi to convince them that they're not actually in danger. Okay, then the Jedi stabs the cloud and kills her. And then she says, I was going to let Osha go anyway. Why did you lead with that before all of that? As soon as they walked in the door, the locked door, and came in, hey, relax, guys. Look, I'm going to let you take Osha. This is what she wants. I've decided as her mother. No, we're going to shoot arrows at you, and my daughter's going to run in and yell fire. I'm going to turn into a demon and make her disintegrate. Yeah, none of it makes any sense at all. And again, I understand they can't always make the best decision. Otherwise, you have no story. But when everyone makes the wrong decision all the time. Hey, the Jedi Council said, oh, not to go in there. We're interfering, and we're going too far. So then Sol goes, oh, but no, I think they're in danger, so I'm going to go. Okay, we'll go. Even though I just got my orders from the Jedi Council. Okay, I go. Oh, hey, they got a high midichlorian count. I'm gonna jump on the speeder and rush in there like a bull in a china shop. It's not like they're going anywhere.
Yeah, or I go in alone. No, we should go with you. Okay.
Yeah,
That,
yeah.
that,
We should go. If we go it alone, it'll look too forceful. If we go in as a group, it'll look too forceful. So you should go. I should go in alone. No, I want to go in as a group. Okay, and that happened over and over and over, over and over. What else? The power of many, I guess, isn't so great either, because when there's many of them using their power together, it takes one Jedi to do this and kill them all. Literally, they all chopped dead when she broke the force power they were doing with the Wookiee Jedi. And again, this story is being told to May again, who was there for all of it. If only it was Osha tied to that table, she might have learned a few things. But May was there for all of it. And then the other witch disappeared, and she's gone. So obviously she's still alive. So we're gonna see her again in the final episode, I assume. But I mean, they're all just idiots. And then at the very end, what are we gonna tell the council? Well, instead of just telling them the truth, we're gonna lie and be racked with guilt for the next 16 years until
but
they come back to kill us.
that was basically Indira saving her ass because she killed a bunch of witches.
Yeah. But, and the witches were attacking. They were attacking, and, I could see why, in the moment, why hide that? I can understand, like, okay, maybe the council won't see it that way, but still, they're supposed to be Jedi, trained to be, honorable and trustworthy and disciplined for their whole entire lives, and none of it. So in this show, the Jedi aren't evil; they're just really stupid, apparently,
and incompetent.
Totally incompetent. And the witches, by the way, they're stupid and incompetent and somewhat evil. Some of them also. There was no reason for that witch to mind F Torben at that first meeting.
No.
Especially since 2 seconds later she said, "Okay, kids can do the test,"
Okay.
which was what they were fighting about apparently. Or since they needed her permission, she could have just said, "No, we're not doing the test."
Indeed.
And then okay, they do the test, and May lies in the test and says the word sacrifice, and oh my God, they're gonna human sacrifice these kids. Well, why don't you ask them before you go off the handle like that? I mean, obviously they're gonna say no, but Jedi are supposed to be like cops. They're supposed to know how to investigate things and question people to get answers. And of course, that part again, May knew all that. She was there. The other part that I thought was really weird, and this is just a tiny little thing, but May comes in to take her test, and I'm sorry, Indara is saying, "We want you to read what's on the screens. What do you want me to do?" She says. "I'm literally telling you what I want you to do." I'm like, was that an editing issue? Was there another conversation going on? Because he was literally in the mid-sentence of telling you what to do. Just tell me what to do. Okay.
I think it was edited like this, so it shows some aggression on May's part towards. Actually, those twins are actually quite balanced. If you look at Osha and May, they are balanced. But anyway, that's.
Well, they're one person. I think they're one person got split apart by the virgins. And again, it was several. They had to say that word multiple times before I'm like, are they saying virgins? Are we looking for virgins on this planet? So no, the virgins, which is okay. Oh, and by the way, 7 weeks. 7 weeks on a planet, and then they decide to tell Torben what the heck they're looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah. So anyway, we did find out that they're one person split into two somehow. We still don't know how exactly. We don't know if it was the same way the Force created Anakin, or if they did some other witch magic, or what. I mean, who even cares at this point?
Yeah, I don't actually, but anyway.
Are they gonna get merged back into one person in the final episode? That's all I want to know, because at least there'll be half as much annoyance going forward.
Okay.
Right,
Lord Deathman.
I've answered enough.
Lord Deathman.
Yes.
Do you now have any clue why Torben voluntarily took the poison?
Yes, because I don't know what kind of language I could use on the show, but he was blocked by, and you could insert another word in front of the word blocked. He was blocked by Master Saul in terms of having a potential sexual encounter with a very sexy witch. So I think he decided to take the poison because somebody pulled him out of a fantasy too quickly. Yeah, I
Okay.
might have taken the poison too. Who knows?
Oh, the witch was sexy.
Yeah. But all kidding aside, no, I have no idea why Master Torben decided to take the poison. I don't know why he seemingly becomes a superior Jedi to that of his master, able to conjure up force fields and prevent people from actually being able to physically touch him with no need for sustenance whatsoever. He just becomes a comatose force user.
Yeah.
But so many things don't make sense on this show. So but you can only go with it for so long, before you just like, I'm kind of being taken advantage of here at this point, right? So I'm sure between all of the members of the panel and their deep dives, we're going to be able to go through every single idiotic, failed piece of story mechanics and say this is why this show is not good. But honestly, I don't. I feel that the problems are even more fundamental than that, right? It just feels like there was just a lack of governance, a lack of competence. That this is why writers go to school, right? Like if you ever have to make a case for why writers are important to a project, why producers are important, this show is it, right? Everybody has ideas, right? Everybody might write something down on a sheet of loose leaf paper one day and say this would be a great story if I gave it to somebody who had enough money and power to make it. This show is the reason why that doesn't happen in real life, why you should go to an accredited university, get a degree in writing, and prove yourself over the course of time before you get involved in projects of this magnitude with commercial IPs of this scale. The people who were involved in this should have never been allowed to touch the Star Wars IP. There's a lot wrong with this show, and I'm just going to go through a couple of the mechanics that I think are really held this show back. So when we look at this episode in particular, they're using, and they've been doing this throughout the entire show. They've been using things like flashbacks, right? Like let's go back to the past and take a look at this because it's, and the reason you do that from a story perspective is you want to give somebody some more insight. You want to give reasons to understand a character in a bit more depth by knowing a bit about their past. But there's literally no difference between the Osha and May of the past and the Osha and May that are in the present. Nothing. Compare that to, and I hate to keep bringing up the exemplar of my favorite show, Andor, in the Star Wars universe. When we saw those flashbacks of Cassian Andor in his youth and understanding how the Empire had an impact on his childhood, and that is what led us to be the adult that we're seeing in the present moment. That's a flashback that works. Whatever they were doing in the Acolyte, I have no idea why we needed those flashbacks, because they added, even now when you see them from two different perspectives, they still don't really add anything to the story. It's just hilarious. People frequently use Quentin Tarantino, I think, popularized and modernized the idea of let's see an event from two different perspectives, because again, it's added information. We saw it in the Glass Onion sort of mystery series done by competent screenwriters and directors who know how to tell a story. Seeing this from a different perspective was just like seeing the director's cut of episode 3. I agree with all those people who made those comments that you could have just watched episode 3 in exchange for it. But the biggest sin that this show makes, and the last one that I will go through in my deep dive, is that it is extremely cynical. And they hope that you don't look at these things by putting in things like, oh, there's a virgins, right, or a virgin, or some stuff that you heard about from a Star Wars novel, or in the extended lore, or in legends. There's some cratosis or psoriasis metal that was mentioned in a book, that somebody read. So this makes it legit. This is real Star Wars, because guess what? We see a Wookiee with a lightsaber. I was watching this episode and I found my mind drifting to, like, I wonder what those 7 weeks were like for Cal Naka at the campsite. He's got to make all the meals for everybody. And nobody seems to be grateful to Cal Naka. Like, I had no concern for the actual story. I was like, there should be a spinoff of the Acolyte called Cooking with Cal Naka. And then, we get to see what Cal Naka can really do with those Nana legs that Master Torben is so ungrateful and doesn't want to eat. He's got a master Wookiee chef making, outdoor meals for him, and he doesn't seem to care. I was dreaming up like a Beverly Hills Jedi show where we just take Cal Naka and put him in Eddie Murphy's place in that franchise. Anything but what was going on in the actual show. It was just horrible. The Jedi fight, I was like, oh, great. The thing that I had asked for, like in episode 2 or whatever, that it would be cool to see Cal Naka face off or square off against the Sith Master. They're kind of doing it now. But if you give it a little bit of critical thought, just a little bit, you're like, okay, he's actually fighting his colleagues here, right? For not really a good reason. There's this is literally someone engineering this plot to happen so that we could see a Wookiee fight some other person with a lightsaber, because it would not have been cool for Cal Naka to fight witches that carry sticks, right? Like, so somebody had to make some excuse for a saber fight, but completely invented the wrong saber fight for the show. That should have been Khmer or somebody. Again, lots of fandom references to keep your mind occupied by the fact that this show is relentlessly garbage, and that they didn't really have a story to begin with. I wouldn't be surprised if this whole story was invented while they were on set and there wasn't much attention paid to the writing, while they were supposed to be developing it in pre-production or prior to that. So
Yeah,
terrible episode, terrible show.
This was supposed to be the episode where we get the answers, I should say.
Yes, no answers.
The main antagonist of this show is Kilmir, the Sith Lord or Sith Ma. We have absolutely no clue what his beef in this fight is.
No clue.
What is his connection?
We don't know.
Why did he ask me?
That something when in a previous episode she puts a saber to somebody's knife and to somebody's throat, Khmer's throat, and says she failed. What did she fail at? Will we ever know? Is it relevant to the story? Do we need to know? What is Venestra's mission? There are lots of these little things you could go through, but I'm not going to.
No. Well, why did Kilmer give May the assignment to kill those 4 Jedi? What was his stake in this assignment?
Don't know. We assume it was some kind of a test of loyalty or some kind of hazing ritual that she had to go through. But was it to graduate to be his acolyte or to become her own full-fledged Sith Lord? We'll never know. Like, why are you hazing your acolyte? Why are you switching between acolytes? It's because they're interchangeable people. And the show literally tells you that they're interchangeable as people.
Yeah, especially after the haircutting with a lightsaber. But anyway, Merv, all of this because Saul got creepy and needed a Padawan. I actually was disturbed by his desire to have a Padawan. That's so bad that we got all this misery.
It's funny that you put it that way, because literally the first thing I've written is Saul is creepy, period. Just, like this episode for sure ruined Saul as a character for me. He comes off as a very, very creepy individual. I don't want to say the word, but like it's just way too far in that, I just really need OSHA. Like, what are you doing? Like, tone it back. It's too much. It was too much.
Yeah.
In like, where did that come from? Out of nowhere, just out of the blue. Because
I mean, we have seen in Star Wars before where a grown man puts a child under his robes, but that was kind of funny. There was nothing funny about this. I actually creeped out. But anyway, I'll let you rant now about the show, and then we finish the drop.
Like I said, it kind of ruined his character for me because it was so, one, out of the blue, and two, just way too forced. You know what I mean? It just like his obsession. It got to obsession levels like immediately. It just didn't feel like a natural build up to like. And there was no reason for it either. It felt completely out of the blue, and now it makes their whole dynamic like really tarnished. Like I don't even, not that I would, but I don't think I could rewatch this and still feel the same levels of respect I had for Saul like 2 episodes ago. And it doesn't ruin the Jedi for me, but it ruins that character for sure. And it just seemed like it was an inconsistent character development. There's really no point in pointing out all the big problems that this show has. So I'm going to point out some of the smaller ones, because I wound up, I was staring at the forest and I was writing down all kinds of trees. That's what it felt like. Like every little thing really caught my eye. Early in the episode, Indara tells Saul, follow the river and check out the Northwoods or whatever. And there are like 3 or 4 panning shots of him on a speeder, and he doesn't go over a puddle, let alone go anywhere near a river. And it's just like, where's the river? Where's the river, Saul? Where are you at? Why are you going this way? There's no river anywhere. Now, there's water early in the episode, but like for some reason that stuck out. I'm like, where's he going? There's no water anywhere around any of this. Yeah, Saul is creepy. I also wrote down what Taylor mentioned where Indara explains the task. You're going to look at this thing and you're going to, and then she May interrupts and is like, what do you want me to do? It's like, I just told you. I just told you. You don't have to be this belligerent. She could have said, they should have had her say anything else. And then it would have still had the same effect of May being like belligerent towards her, like, I don't want to be here. But it would have been relevant because then, Indara says what she wants and then Saul just repeats her. And it's just like, why is this even here? Again, May surprised that the book caught fire after she lit it on fire really just caught me off guard. Like her reaction to things catching on fire after she sets them on fire is just like, you'd never seen fire. There's fire all over this old, mining station. Why are you surprised at this? The big one for me too, at the end, whenever they decide, and for some reason, the only time Indara puts her foot down on any decision is to tell this fable of May started a fire that killed everyone, which turns out to be the truth. But how did they know that? There's no reason they should have known that. Also, why would this be your saving grace for OSHA to tell her that her twin sister started a fire that killed the entire family? Why is that how you're gonna like protect this child? Why not just say like the generator blew up and killed the entire thing, or something that doesn't put the blame on your identical twin sister as the murderer of your entire family, that now this is trauma that you at 7 years old or whatever has to live with for the rest of your life? Why is that the decision they decided to go with? It doesn't make any sense. And they shouldn't have known that May started the fire. So why would they pin it on her? You know what I mean? Like there's no reason for that at all as a decision in the show or outside of the show. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. But a lot of things about this show didn't make any sense to me. Again, the only time I might have enjoyed brief moments was the Kelnaka fight. And it's only because it was a lightsaber fight, But again, it's not. You're not going to get bonus points for me at this point because I don't need that. I needed the answers to the story. We're rounding out the end. I gave you bonus points in episode 5 for giving me a bunch of lightsaber fights, because there was still time to save the story at that point. Hey, this is like cake. I don't need cake now. Like, I need the meat and potatoes of this story. Otherwise, it's just it's too much. Or not enough, rather.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what other questions I had. Oh, what happened to the witches who were heard screaming from above? I thought we'd find out. I guess they just burned up because we got the same exact shot, same exact information. We just heard an explosion, fire, and a bunch of screaming. I thought that would be a revelation. It wasn't. Who started the fire? May. I thought that would be a change. It wasn't. How were the twins created? We still don't know. I mean, the force divergence, the two mothers did something. We don't know. We still have no information on that. It doesn't matter. This show, like, it sucks because, again, like everyone else, I like Star Wars. I would never call myself a huge fan. I've never read any of the novels or legends or anything like that. I haven't even seen all the cartoons that have come out. But I love the movies, or I like the movies a lot, and so far I've really enjoyed. I thought they were really consistently doing pretty well put together shows. They're The Mandalorian, even Book of Boba Fett I liked. Andor is fantastic. The last couple have been middling maybe, but you always have hope that they're going to do something that at least makes the show stand out, or it makes you enjoy yourself. I don't want to be sitting here picking apart every second of every episode. It's only 30 minutes long on top of it, but they leave you no choice. Like, they don't give you anything to latch onto as entertainment or enjoyment, and then it's just, here's this pile of shit, go enjoy it. I'm sorry for my language.
It's fine.
Here's this pile of crap, go enjoy it. It's like, what do you mean you're complaining? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And it has, again, I'll just reiterate what you said, Grandmaster. It has nothing to do with being anti-woke or the fact that there's women leading the show or minorities leading the show. None of that matters. Just tell me a good story. That's all I ever want out of anything. And they are failing miserably here. And this episode just kind of puts the obvious return on this show is going to be disappointment. And it's almost not like, I will watch the last episode, but if there's a season 2, I'm probably not going to be in for that one. I'll just say that right now. If for some reason they decide that this warrants a season 2, I'm probably just going to sit that one out because there's nothing there.
I think it won't. An argument can be made. This show does stand out, but not in a good way. Taylor, you had a follow-up before we move on to the ratings.
Yeah, the witch mother with the horns. All right, she doesn't want Osha to leave. She's been arguing with the other witch mother. I guess she's decided she can't win this argument. So what's her solution? She force pushes her 8-year-old daughter around a little bit and tells her to go in there and stop your sister from leaving. And apparently implying up to and including killing your sister to stop her from leaving. So she's the one who actually caused May to start the fire. So she's just horrible, first of all. She's also the one who, when found out there was a fire, decided to attack a Jedi instead of do something about the fire. And if there's one thing you want to build that's not real flammable, it's probably a mining facility. But this place went up like a Chinese lantern. It freaking burned to the ground so fast. However, on the bright side, this show has an 81% Rotten Tomatoes score from the professional critics. Okay?
Oh,
yeah.
14% that was, review bombed from the viewers. And I don't know who these professional critics are because, you look at the folks on the internet. Now, of course, there's the people who hate everything Disney and hate everything Star Wars and hated it before it ever came out. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about John Campea stopped watching this show. He hated it so much. And he's not a Disney hater. Jeremy Johns is usually a fair guy, and he's ridiculing this show up, down, and sideways. Angry Joe is having a field day laughing at this show. So again, I mean, and these are not your, this isn't Doomcock and Critical Drinker. These are, people who generally take it fairly seriously. But yeah, I guess they only watch the first 3 episodes or something when they get, which is crazy. How do you rate how do you review a show when you only see the first 3 episodes? But regardless,
but
they're going to point to that, and when they point to that, you know what else they say? Oh, the people criticizing it are wrong. They're just haters. They're racist, sexist, homophobe, whatever they want to call us. Or what but I don't see how they can do that when literally everyone is criticizing. Everyone that's going on the record with their face on the internet is criticizing this show.
No, but I remember that after in our first reviews, we said that the concept of lesbian space witches was a very good idea. So I don't think they can say that again to us. But anyway, Lord Deathman, you also had a follow-up?
Yeah, just a quick summation of what we've been talking about here. I know it's easy to get into the weeds with how bad this show is. There are 5 problems with this show. The mysteries drag out for too long. The writing is terrible. The pacing is awful. The references to Star Wars that exist in the show are too on the nose. And the biggest problem with it is that the show sets Star Wars back by making the Jedi almost irredeemable.
Yep.
Those are all the problems with the Acolyte.
Yeah, well, that's but there's still 1 episode to go, so Merv.
Yeah, just one last thing, because we didn't mention the pop song during the credits. I just wanted to point that out as the 6th thing that was wrong.
Here we go. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, Merv. Yes, that is 6 things. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that leaves us with nothing else to do than rate episode 7 of The Acolyte. So here we go. Starting with you, Lord Deathman. Last week you gave a 1 out of 10. It was your first one ever. I'm afraid.
Yeah, you should be.
There's going to be another one, right?
There will be a new first with a 0. I cannot award this episode any points whatsoever. And I am thinking of the Kalnaka, lightsaber fight where we do get to see a Wookiee for the first time with a Jedi saber. Wasn't enough to distract me from how terrible this was. They literally stole my time and set the Star Wars fandom back 0.
Okay. Merv.
I think I'm going to go 2 out of 10, only because I did mildly enjoy some of the combat, and the concept of cooking with Kalnaka as a show intrigues me to the point that I'd be in for that before I'd be in for an Acolyte season 2. But yeah, that 2 out of 10, it's probably going to go downhill from here.
Okay, Taylor.
Yeah, they basically treated Kalnaka like Lassie in this episode. But another spin-off show, Kalnaka seemed pretty good with that metal detector. He could do one of those shows where they dig in some old hole looking for proof of the mystery of lost hole in the ground island or whatever the hell they do on the Discovery Channel.
He can do that on Tatooine. There's a lot of stuff buried in that desert planet. They can make endless seasons of that.
Which just reminds me, I've heard people say, "Oh, the people are being too rough on the Jedi." We've seen the Jedi take children away before. Well, yeah, in the prequel trilogy, they took Anakin, whose mother willingly gave him up in order to save him from a life of slavery. Okay?
Yeah.
These kids were living high on the hog, on playing with butterflies and eating spice cream all day, man, and a loving family where they were free. All right, so not the same. Not the same. Oh, where do I even go? The heroes, the true heroes of this show, the saviors, if anything can save this show, are the stunt team, because the action scenes have been fantastic. Even the action scenes in this episode.
Yeah.
So just like Merv said, I'll give it a 2 out of 10 for the action scenes.
People, I just want to remind you, when Taylor gives a 2 out of 10, that's actually like a minus 100 for any other normal person, because Taylor is hopelessly optimistic and positive. So 2 out of 10 is terrible, really terrible. I'm gonna go 1 out of 10. I had some hope that I would get some answers, and that I would get some, but actually nothing. And once the episode stopped, I was like, why the hell is Kilmere in this series? I have absolutely no clue, and that's why I immediately led with that. And it's yeah, I actually don't want to talk about it. Next week, maybe, if I'm in a good mood. That will conclude this week's review of Champions for episode 7 of The Acolyte. Almost there, people, almost there. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. We did enjoy it, again, for the false reasons. But anyway, if you did, you can help us out. Like and share this review and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you really want more of us, join our forum at Cigar.freeforums.net. We would love it if you do that. In a few weeks, we will be reviewing Deadpool and Wolverine, and episode 8 of the Star Trek project is also on the way. For now, I thank you all also on behalf of our champions, and wish the Force to be with you always. Bye.